You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
It used to be that calling a film a turkey was an insult. Nowadays, there's actually an audience for some of the worst movies ever made.
Baby, you are gonna go broke showing turkeys like these.
Now we're talking turkey.
Gobble, gobble, motherfucker.
It's turkey time. Gobble, gobble.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Let's Talk Turkeys. Today, we're talking the 1995 film Tales from the Crypt presents Demon Knight.
Oh, hello, kiddies. So glad you could join me. Your pal, the Crypt Keeper, has gone Hollywood in a big way. I'm directing my first feature film. Care for a little shriek preview? For my big screen premiere, I wanted lots of suspense. Special effects, sex, violence. The kind of thing you could really sink your teeth into. Frights, camera, action. It's about a chase through the ages, a race against time. The war between good and evil.
Come on, everybody, it's time to play.
And the final battle between man... I'm sorry. And demon.
I'm not gonna hurt you. I lied.
It stars Billy Zane from Dead Calm, William Sadler from Die Hard 2, and Jada Pinkett from Menace to Society. Ooh, I love those titles. And you'll love Demon Knight. They're here! The demons are here! And ladies, if you think Demon Knight is too gross and yucky... Whoa! Thank you.
I'm Movie Miss, and I'm joined by my co-host, Miss Nikki Flicks. Hello, ma'am.
Hello. So ready for this.
Me too. I love this movie so much.
I watched it twice, once last night and once just now. It's that enjoyable.
Oh, me too. I watched it 3 times this week. Once just, strictly for getting the notes, but twice just because I fucking love it.
Yep. My first watch last night, husband joined me because he remembered this movie, but he didn't. And yeah, all throughout, I'm just watching him react and going, isn't this great? Isn't this great? Yeah. Pointing at the TV. Look at that. Look at that. Ah. Yeah.
Oh, that's my favorite part of watching most movies with people who don't remember them or are having a first time viewing. It's kind of watching their reaction.
Yep.
That's awesome. So we're talking about this film today because obviously we fucking love it. However, when it first came out, the critics did not care for it, which is good for us because it's a turkey. 38% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, audience score of 64. It had a $12 million budget and only did about 21 domestically. So it was not a big hit, which surprises me because mid-90s, there was a bit of a horror upswing happening there in the late 90s.
This movie, you got to remember, 1995. This is about a good year to 2 years before the horror boom of the 90s. This was in that middle ground where horror died off a slow and painful death in the early 90s. And this movie came out about a year too early. It was a little too ahead of its time, I think.
Yeah, because I remember not a lot of people knew what it was or heard about it, and I didn't catch it myself till a couple years later.
Right. And it was the planned first in a series that Tales from the Crypt was going to present. And I don't know about you, but I did a little bit of reading about like why a sequel never happened and what's the deal with this movie, then Bordello of Blood, like what was the thinking? And I
Okay.
found out that in the series of movies that HBO was going to put out as Tales from the Crypt were included From Dusk Till Dawn and The Frighteners. Those were originally going to be Tales from the Crypt follow-ups after this movie.
Interesting. Okay, well,
when this movie and then Bordello of Blood didn't do too well, they scrapped that, and those movies eventually got made anyway.
That's kind of a neat tidbit. Let's circle back to that though at the end, because I do have a little to add to that.
Oh, you got it.
Okay, so this one was directed by Ernest Dickerson, who, after a little bit of Googling, I saw had only directed a few things. One of them was Juice, and one was Surviving the Game. So I feel like I've seen Surviving the Game, and I liked it a lot. I feel like this had some vibe from that, like some real good action-y shots, like with the shooting of the arrow and falling and things were very action, but also the horror elements were there. I feel like this guy had a good handle on what he was doing. I also found out that he was the cinematographer on the majority of Spike Lee films. So he'd been a name for himself, just not really in directing per se. Top cast is William Sadler, which a lot of you might know him as the Grim Reaper in the Bill and Ted series, if you don't know him from anything else. Billy Zane, Jada Pinkett, before she was Pinkett Smith, Thomas Hayden Church, CCH Pounder, Brenda Bake, Dick Miller, and Charles Fleischer, who some of you might know as the voice of Roger Rabbit, which he does not do in this film.
Thankfully, that would have been awfully strange.
So the plot for this 92-minute motion picture: a man on the run is hunted by a demon known as the Collector. Succinct.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay. Well,
to the point.
Yeah. First of all, with your one sentence, you sort of blew the
the surprise.
You sort of blew the surprise, which, some of my first notes are about how great that is. We'll get to that in a minute, but yeah, nice job. Whoever wrote that. I'm seriously, man.
Guess
IMDb,
what it's from? It's from IMDb.
Please call me. I can do such a better job than that. That's so bad.
Yeah, I think what was that, the 50 Shades episode when you threw it out there to IMDb to call you?
Oh, come on, man. Whoever wrote that, well, you had one job, and with one sentence, you blew it.
All right, so let's jump in. The movie starts with the same opening that you would get for the TV show Tales from the Crypt, as this was their first foray into the motion picture with it. You get the same music, everything. And then you wind up down in the bottom of the crypt with the crypt keeper sitting up in his coffin and laughing, and the Tales from the Crypt logo appears and it's glorious neon and green. And then the movie starts with a scene, which would be something right out of an episode of Tales from the Crypt TV show, honestly.
Yes, it would.
A woman on the phone, half naked, covered in blood, talking about how she's killed her husband and she can't wait to have sex with whoever's on the phone and then take him shopping to spend all her dead husband's money.
Yes. And this false start fake movie scene opening, I just have to say, it makes me all hot and squishy. Just where it looks like some sort of weird softcore porn thing happening. It's so on brand for the TV show. And it's exactly what you're expecting when you walked into the theater. I remember going to see this, and the opening credits, Danny Elfman, that great score, and then this ridiculousness with the blonde. I was like, oh, I'm already getting my money's worth. This is what I came for. Yay.
So then we cut to a shot of what has to be her husband coming out of the basement after he's been dumped in a vat of acid. And he attacks her with an axe as she's relaxing in her tub. She screams, and then the crypt keeper yells, "Cut." And we see that it, like you said, false start, not really the movie. He's just directing one of his shows, I guess.
And for absolutely no reason, we get John Larroquette as the husband. I love that shot when he turns around like, the hell you think you're talking to? And it's just his face, and all you could see from behind was just the costume. And he's just like, directors, give me a break. This guy, I give and I give. What more can this guy expect out of me? Damn it.
Yeah, and then the crypt keeper addresses us, breaks the fourth wall, and talks right to us like he would on the show. He tells us that he's now gone Hollywood, and this is his first movie. Then we get to see a really great comic book cover, and we hear the crypt keeper say he calls this one Demon Knight with a K, and it fades from the comic book into the movie, and I love that.
Just like the TV show. Love it in the same vein as, you know, Tales from the Dark Side, Creep Show, Tales from the Crypt. You got, as far as I'm concerned, that's the unholy three. I love them so much, and this is exactly what you came for. And you're like, okay, here we go. Here's the real movie. Yes.
So we've established that's the unholy three.
Yep.
And Stephen King is our literary Lord and Savior. Got it.
Yes. Oh my God, we just started a cult.
Just checking. All right. So we see two cars in a bit of a chase on a deserted highway at night. Billy Zane is in pursuit of William Sadler, and we hear an awesome song called Hey Man, Nice Shot by the band Filter as the opening credits roll. I not only love this song, I loved the whole soundtrack for this movie, honestly.
Yes. Very, very good, smart use of music throughout, whether it's scored or an actual song like this one. Whoever put the soundtrack together, fabulous job. And this is one of those opening sequences of a movie where when I hear that song, this is what I think of. I think of this amazing scene with the two of them in the cars speeding down the highway. Whenever I hear that song by Filter, which that's a great song and they're a great 90s band, that's what I think of.
Yeah. And I think it fits perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I also wanted to comment too, when you get a shot of Billy Zane, he's just wearing that cowboy hat. He looks mighty fine bald and in a cowboy hat. I'm just going to say it.
There's going to be a lot of, can we just appreciate Billy Zane throughout this conversation?
Yes.
I feel it's going to happen. There's going to be a
Yes.
whole lot of ruminating on his swag, and that cowboy hat. Oh boy, have I never been attracted to a man in a cowboy hat until that moment.
Agreed.
Yep.
So William Sadler abruptly stops his car in the middle of the road and starts firing a gun at Billy Zane's car, which is speeding toward him. He gets at least one decent shot off because somehow it hits under the hood and the engine catches fire. And he jumps out of his car just in time as the cars collide. Big fiery explosion. Love this action-y scene to open the film. I'm so excited.
Yep. 30 seconds into the actual movie, I already forgot about the Crypt Keeper and the opening. Completely forgot, and I'm just hooked, wondering who are these men and what is happening.
And we see as Sadler flees the scene here that he's starting to notice the star tattoos on his palm light up and kind of start shifting around to make a pattern. And you're just wondering, like, what is happening?
Exactly. Yep. I already forgot about that silly opening, and I'm wondering, who are these people? What is going on? That is a really interesting thing I've never seen before.
So we see that he is in a town called Wormwood, New Mexico. He gets caught trying to break into somebody's car in front of a diner, and he runs off. And a side note on Wormwood, just because I was like, what? It's not a real place in New Mexico. And they clearly used it here because in the Bible, it refers to a dark green oil produced by the planet, which is used to kill intestinal worms. And in the book of Revelation, they specifically refer to the water being turned into wormwood. So I feel like later on, when we see more green liquid, kind of the tie-in for the wormwood and the
There
town.
you go. Yep.
So I thought that was interesting, and it made me appreciate the little layers in this movie that much more.
Mm-hmm.
So William Sadler runs off. He bumps into Dick Miller in an alleyway. And I'm referring to everybody by their real names at the moment because we haven't been given character names yet. So they share a drink, and Dick says he can take Sadler to a nearby motel for the night. Cut to a sheriff and Deputy Bob at the fiery accident scene on the highway. And I have to say, I love Deputy Bob in this movie. This guy, this actor, phenomenal. He is right up there with the deputy from Eight-Legged Freaks. Comedy
Yes.
chops all day.
Yep. Man, can he deliver a line and make you giggle, and his face, his facial expression. I have to back up a sec though, because
Sure.
when William Sadler meets Dick Miller, his name is Willie, and everybody refers to him as Uncle Willie. And Uncle Willie says, you know, does he want to drink because I hate drinking alone? So let me just say, first of all, Dick Miller, amazing character actor. He's been in a billion things. Look up his page and start watching, folks, because he's
Agreed.
great. But I believe a lot of things about Uncle Willie. That he doesn't like drinking alone, that's not one of them. I have a feeling this man drinks from sun up until he passes out every day, all day, whether he's alone, I don't care where he is. This man does nothing but drink. And you get that within 10 seconds of seeing him. I hate drinking alone. Bullshit.
I call bullshit. Yeah.
Yep. And then, yes, Deputy Bob, he wants to give both the drivers of these cars a speeding ticket.
Well, he says them sons of bitches must have been doing well over 100.
Yep. The sheriff tells him, well, you can shoot their ashes.
If it'll make you feel better.
It makes you feel better. Oh, Bob.
I seriously, so many times in this movie, even if I'm in a room by myself, laugh out loud at some of these lines. And that was one of them. But shoot the ashes. I was cracking up.
Yep.
So then we get an eerie shot of Billy Zane. Again, the director, props, I'm going to keep saying it, coming out slow-mo behind the flames, comes around the back of the cars. Such a great shot.
Mm-hmm.
And he explains to them that he survived the crash because of an airbag. It's so good. They just look at him like, what?
Well, yeah. And I love that you don't know who he is yet, but he's so damn smart and ahead of the game that when they look at him like that, he just is like, airbags, gotta love him. Anyway, the guy.
Yes.
Just the first words out of his mouth. And you're like, oh my God, I love this guy.
I'm with you 100%. And he just oozes charm. He was so perfectly cast.
Yeah. The tone of delivery, everything that he says, just immediately you're going, wow, who is this guy?
So he lets them know that the man he was chasing who got away is very dangerous and they need to find him. Cut back to Dick and Sadler arriving. That sounds like a sitcom, Dick and Sadler. So we cut back to them arriving at the motel, which is actually a converted church. He says the building was used as a church until the 1950s when it was decommissioned due to lack of interest. Sadler notices the little star tattoos on his hand light up and move once again to form a perfect circle. And he says to Dick, great, this is exactly the place I've been looking for. So they go in. So this is where we meet an extremely colorful cast of characters that just make this movie. So we learn that Dick Miller's character is Uncle Willie, and he has a big drinking problem, which we kind of already suspected.
Right. He's clearly the town drunk that everybody knows and tolerates.
We meet Cordelia. She is a prostitute on the DL because it's not legal there. We meet Irene, the motel owner, who is immediately suspicious of Sadler. We meet Geraldine, or is it Geraldine? Because they say it both ways.
I think out of all the characters, only two of them say Geraldine. So I think they just weren't paying attention, but the majority of people, it's Geraldine. Let me just say, for the purposes of this conversation, yes, her character Geraldine, everywhere in my notes, she is known as Queen Jada. Thank you. Because this movie so firmly established in my mind, this actress is absolutely fucking incredible. And I cannot wait to see what she does next. Queen Jada. That's how I refer to her.
Yes, I remember this. And around the same time, I'm not sure which came first, a movie called A Low Down Dirty Shame. And in both films, she is a badass little firecracker. Queen Jada, all hail.
Exactly. But there's always, and I remember her from the latter seasons of A Different World because I was obsessed with that TV show, which I just recently rewatched. It was on Prime. And yeah, I remember recognizing her from that and thinking, this actress, I don't know who she is. Jada Pinkett. Okay. Not only does she come across as that firecracker and fast talking, but you also get this intelligence and sensitivity from her. And that entire package comes through in every character you see her play. And that's very rare for a woman to be the little fast talking firecracker, but also be smarter than everyone else in the room and also have a heart of gold. All of that just comes through every role she plays.
She's extremely multifaceted.
Yes.
So we meet her and she's working with Irene on a work release program. When she comes into the room, she and Sadler kind of share a look, a moment, which if you're really paying attention, you'll notice. She takes him up to his room and I love that she's so snarky with him. The concierge will bring up your bags momentarily.
Yep. Yep.
Sass for days. I love her.
And I love that. I super appreciate now in hindsight that look, that exchange between her and Breaker. I just, ooh, boy, they both are getting vibes like, wait a minute, something really strange is happening here. I totally pick up on it now, and it's like, ooh, that's a look that speaks volumes.
It's like the opposite of a meet cute.
Yeah.
So downstairs, we meet Wally the postman, and Cordelia is consoling him because he lost his job. He was fired for losing mail, which he says he didn't lose. He's clearly sweet on Cordelia, which I love. And he offers to go get her sheets out of the dryer for her and take them to her room. It's like, oh. Cut to the sheriff, Deputy Bob, and Billy Zane, who is actually never called by his character's name in this movie, but he is referred to as the Collector. He explains to the sheriff he was chasing the other car because he had something very valuable stolen from him. And they head over to the diner because they get a call that someone was trying to steal a car there. Back at the motel, Sadler's eating a bowl of green mush that he douses with ketchup. Oh, gross. And he gets propositioned by Cordelia, who cannot read a room. He's not interested. And she gets up on the table. All I could think was, oh, get away from my food. Like when I'm eating, don't sit by my food.
And that is why it is so fucking glorious when the amazing CCH Pounder, another great character actor, as Irene says, get that pussy off the table. Oh my God, because you know you're thinking it like, ooh, the hooker is awfully close to his food. Of course, at the same time, Geraldine's cat jumped up on the table, her kitty cat, Cleo. And that's what Irene's talking about. But oh no, instead, she says exactly what we're all thinking. Get that pussy. And she jumps off the table like, oh shit, sorry.
It's hysterical.
Oh my God, yes.
And we learn that the cat was supposed to be outside, and Geraldine says, I don't know how she got back in. And that might be, foreshadowing for later.
Mm-hmm.
I know how you love that in a movie.
Oh, yes. I love it when you go back and rewatch a movie and you realize there were nuggets on the first time viewing. You didn't pick them up, but now you do.
And then a car pulls up outside and honks. So Sadler tenses up and starts to look nervous. Enter Roach, Cordelia's boyfriend. And he's played by Thomas Hayden Church. And for those of you who didn't readily recognize that name, he was in Tombstone. He was also on the TV show Wings.
Yep.
Known for comedy. And in this, he's hysterical, but also he plays an asshole to perfection.
I want to say, is it Spider-Man 3 that he was in as a villain?
I didn't see Spider-Man 3, so I don't know.
I swear it's one of the maybe like late 90s, early 2000s superhero movies. And it may be a Spider-Man. You know, he turns into dust.
Oh, the Sandman.
The Sandman. Yeah. That was also Thomas Hayden Church.
Nice.
Yeah. I remember him from that and thinking, yeah, he was a pretty damn good villain. Man, because you remember him from Wings and he's hilarious and he's a dum-dum. And then you see him playing a baddie and you're like, oh boy. And I love that you referred to him as Cordelia's boyfriend.
Well, at one point it gets said, but I think
he just pays her a weekly visit on payday. Seems like that's about accurate.
Well, I like when he walks in, he says, and here's the thing about Thomas Hayden Church. The script can say 3 flat words, 3 words on the page. But when he walks in and says them, it's just the flair. It's the pepper he puts on it, if you will.
There you go. Yep. He walks in, just evening motel people. Just the way he says it, you're like, who the hell does this guy think he is? Okay, great. And you can picture the whole scene now. You can see week after week, this dickhead rolls in on Friday night after he gets his paycheck from the diner and just rolls in and treats all these people like piss-ons. Like, this guy is such a douche. You get that instantly.
Well, and by what he's wearing. I mean,
oh God.
That I'm not even going to go into it, but the outfit, my God.
Yeah.
It's douche from head to toe, including the hair. And he looks so greasy and just yucky.
Yep. And I love here. This is how I'm describing this. So poor little disgruntled postal worker Wally gets cock blocked by a man who is literally a walking cock. I mean, the way he just comes in and he's such a douche, and Cordelia is instantly like, oh, all my attention goes to you now. And poor little Wally's just sitting there like, man, like,
So
really?
sad. Mhm.
Yeah, want.
So Roach and Cordelia go upstairs, and then we cut to the diner. The sheriff gets a call while they're there that the man they're looking for is over at the motel. So they head that way. Now, back at the motel, everyone is sitting around listening to Roach and Cordelia have sex. And we find out that Geraldine was in jail for stealing just before the sheriff and Deputy Bob and the collector come rolling in. Sadler quickly grabs Geraldine and holds a switchblade to her neck and tells them to drop their guns. The collector tells them he knows him. Don't worry, he's not going to do it. So Sadler drops his knife, gets handcuffed by the sheriff, and we learn now that his name is Breaker, Frank Breaker, because the sheriff grabs his wallet and takes a look. The collector tells the sheriff to look in Breaker's pocket because the item that was stolen should be in there. Irene pipes up and asks, what does he have to do with this? The collector. And he just answers her directly, I work for a collection agency, which, still not real super suspicious of him. It's just like, okay, I kind of.
Exactly. Yeah. At this point, you're still not sure which of these guys has good intentions and which one doesn't. You still don't know exactly who they are and what's happening here. I love the choice of the costume designer to dress Billy Zane in white and William Sadler in black to throw you off. I love that up until this moment, you still don't know exactly what's going on and who should you be rooting for here.
So the sheriff tells them the bag's empty, and the collector says, well, it's got to be somewhere around here. It's an antique in the shape of a key, and I need it back. So Deputy Bob goes up to Breaker's room to look for it. And when he's leaving the room, he draws his gun and busts in on Cordelia and Roach having sex. And I love this scene.
We have to say it, man. They are not just having sex.
No, ma'am.
He's got nipple clamps connected to a car battery. And when Bob busts the door open, Cordelia bumps it and amps it up. Fucking Roach is sitting there. My nipples are smoking. Oh my God.
It's amazing.
And again, you just have to look at that and go, this guy is such a tool. Oh my God. He shows up at this motel once a week and pays this woman to do that to him?
Right?
What the hell? Kind of, okay.
So he wrangles them up and makes them go downstairs with everybody. And the sheriff finds out that Frank Breaker has been dead for 5 years. So they're wondering what's going on. Why do you have a dead guy's wallet and identity? He doesn't say anything, and they say, fine, we'll toss you in a jail cell for a few days until you feel like talking. The collector chimes in and says, well, before you haul him off, I'd appreciate getting back what he stole from me. Good old Uncle Willie chimes in that he knows where the item is because he saw Breaker stash it, and he pulls it out from underneath the table, and we get a close-up look that it is kind of a key, but a vessel. It's holding some red liquid inside, and it has a circle of stars on the front shaped exactly like the tattoo on the inside of Breaker's hand. I was not happy with Uncle Willie in this moment, I'm just going to say. Well, even though I didn't know who the bad guy was.
Yeah, he's right there with us where he doesn't know the context of the story here. He just knows the cops brought this guy in and they need to find this thing, and he's trying to be helpful. Any one of us would probably do the same thing because it appears that Breaker is an asshole and he stole something from this guy, and this guy's with the cops. I fucking love though when Billy Zane sits down and reaches and grabs the glass of water, and the way Breaker jumps like, oh my God, don't get near me, don't touch me. Yeah. Just the smile on his face, on Billy Zane's face. He is so amused by how uncomfortable he's making Breaker. And it's just that level of he's relishing in being a dick, and you're starting to see it a little. Yeah. Well,
this is where I'm going to sing the praises of Billy Zane, because I don't feel like, because he never quite made A-list, he doesn't get the respect he deserves as an actor. Because like you just said, the little subtle smile on his face, the subtleties in his portrayal during this entire movie, every single time he's in frame, even if it's just his face, he's acting, he's doing something. I don't think he gets enough respect, honestly.
No, definitely not. And of course, it's a couple of years later that you see him in Titanic. Definitely the thing he's most known for.
Yes.
But yeah, it just it's like you were saying with Thomas Hayden Church being able to make something out of a line that shouldn't be something. Billy Zane makes something out of every bit of screen time he has, whether it's just his face or an eye roll or a smile or the way that he delivers a line or something that is clearly ad-libbed. You get that over and over and over again from Billy Zane in everything he's in. And this is like my favorite performance of his for sure. Beginning to end, Billy Zane is so endlessly entertaining in this movie.
And I feel like one reason to add to the list of many why this movie is amazing and everybody needs to see it is because everybody in this movie is giving 110%.
Yep.
Every second they're on the screen, blown away by the whole cast.
Yes, this is a fantastic ensemble cast.
Okay, so this is going to come back later, this little bit that I'm going to say next. So I really paid attention to this. The collector opens up his case and he tells Uncle Willie to go ahead and put the key in the case for him. But first, could you go ahead and open it up and dump out whatever's inside? He went and put something awful in there. So he wants Uncle Willie to empty the key out and then put it in the case. That little nugget's going to come back later. Breaker yells at Uncle Willie, don't do it. He's not what he says he is. So this is where we're starting to see like what's going on. The sheriff grabs the key before Uncle Willie can get the top off of it and put it in the case. And he puts it in his pocket. He says he's going to take Breaker and the collector back to the station and sort all this out. Deputy Bob cuffs Breaker and they start heading for the door. When the collector realizes that this is not going to go his way, he turns around and punches the sheriff right through the face and out the back of his skull.
Yes. The first of so many ridiculous, over the top, absolutely incredible practical special effects in this movie.
Yes.
Mind blowing, literally. This moment, the first time you see this movie, comes as such a shock. And if you're a huge gore and horror fan, you see that and you're like, oh my God, yes.
Well, and the director, such an amazing way that the camera angles, the lighting, how long they linger on things, it makes for this magical concoction of a perfectly shot practical effect horror scene. It's perfect.
Yes. I can't stop raving about how much fun this movie is just with the practical effects. And that's the first of a million examples of it in this movie. Billy Zane, not only did he punch straight through the sheriff's head, he then lifts his arm up and rips the head clean off the sheriff's body, flings his arm, and the head goes flying.
He tosses it right at the deputy and says, heads up.
Yes.
And everyone's screaming. They don't know what's happening. Breaker manages to grab the key off of Deputy Bob's belt when he's not paying attention because he's going to try and shoot the collector. He gets himself uncuffed. The key falls and they tussle for it. Breaker grabs the key just as the collector grabs him by the throat. I didn't understand this. Breaker touches the key to the collector's face and it starts to glow a little and he yells and then he turns around and leaps out of the window.
Yes.
I thought the blood had to, or the, in the key had to touch him directly, just the actual key touching him.
Yes. If there's blood in the key, simply touching the key will hurt the demons. That's why later on, Breaker touches the key to a person or to the cat, because you're looking for that reaction.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. Got it. Okay. So yeah, the collector gets touched with the key. He freaks out. He jumps out of a window. Again, with this movie, on the page, I'm sure that the words looked good, but it's all in the delivery, right? Like when he says, humans, you're not worth the flesh you're printed on. He takes off his hat and his coat and he says, fuck this cowboy shit.
Yes.
I can't imagine anybody else playing this role at this point.
He's absolutely brilliant. This is my favorite moment of the whole movie, is when he flies out the window and says that, yeah, humans, and the fuck this cowboy shit. You wonder if that was even in the script or if it just said he takes off his cowboy hat. Like who knows what it actually said. And then I've said this so many times. I said it to my husband right before we watched the movie and he looked at me like I was insane, but I couldn't help myself because I was like, I know the script by heart. Sorry about it. I'll try to keep it under control. I just got to get it out of my system now. Fucking ho down, po dunk, them there motherfuckers. I say that all the time. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. And I said it to my husband right before we pressed play on the movie. And he was like, okay. And then when it got to that scene, he just laughed so hard. And I was like, yep, I couldn't help myself. It's so fucking funny and brilliant. This moment where he's standing outside, he's so over, pretending to be this person that he's not. That's it. He's had it. And then he slices his hand open and that green ooze comes out.
The wormwoody ooze.
The wormwood ooze.
It's an amazing scene. It's practical effects again. He says the property is hereby condemned, cuts his hand and green goo. He starts splashing the green goo everywhere. Demons start to grow up out of the goo puddles on the ground. With this movie and this scene in particular, I'm in practical effects heaven. I freaking love this.
But between that and how amazing Billy Zane and Jada Pinkett are in this movie, this was one of my favorites. As soon as it was on DVD, I snatched it up, watched it over and over and over again because I'm so in love with it. And the practical effects, yes, oh my God, these shots. And it looks like they're maybe done like in reverse to get the effect where the demons are coming up out of the puddles. Yeah. And freaking Billy Zane leans over and kisses one of them on the head.
Gross, but I love it.
Yes, I know. It's just absolutely incredible. And then when the demons are finally up and walking fully grown.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Have you ever seen anything quite like it?
They're amazing. And
how original and cool.
But and they're cutting back to the shots of everybody reacting to what's happening between the effects and what's going on, everyone reacting, the collector and his performance and the set design, the soundtrack. Honestly, it doesn't get much better than this movie. And I don't know why people have not seen this or have a problem with it if they have, because this movie's fucking amazing.
Well, it's just, it's for a certain kind of horror fan.
Yeah.
And it's literally like a gift wrapped Christmas morning present. If you are a fan of a little bit of comedy, smarter than it should be, incredible effects, like if you're a fan of those things, here's a present for you, is this movie. Oh, and by the way, you get Billy Zane being one sexy motherfucker. And I love the practical effects, but then also you're going to see some digital effects here as well. And it's the first time I really remember seeing digital and practical work pretty damn well together in a horror movie.
That's true. So next the power goes out and they realize all the demons are suddenly gone. They look back outside and nobody's there. Breaker grabs the gun from the sheriff's dead body. And just as he tells them all to get back away from the windows, of course, here come the demons. One comes jumping through and attacks Deputy Bob. Breaker is an excellent shot, by the way. I guess he's had years to practice.
He's had a very long time to practice.
He takes both of those eyes out immediately. 2 shots, boom, boom. And then we see a green light shoot out of the demon's eyes and it drops dead. So then we realize, okay, you got to shoot him in the eyes. Suddenly another demon jumps in and grabs Irene. Breaker gets off 2 more shots and we get another green light shooting out of the demon's head and it flies backwards and drops dead. So Breaker goes over to the open front door and he stoops down. And this is the first time we see him do this. He opens up the key and drops a little drop of the red liquid onto the door frame and it shoots up around the entire opening, signified by a red light. And in essence, creates a seal around the door. So we find out the demons can't cross over it.
This is what I meant when I'm talking about CGI. So between the digital effect of the green light, the demons getting released through the eyes, and then you have this really cool digital effect with the barrier going up in the doorway. Really, really neat to see it being used in horror because, you had like Jurassic Park and there was a few movies with digital effects in the early 90s where you're like, whoa, this is new. This is the first movie where in a horror movie, I saw it getting used quite a bit. And it's pretty cool. They can achieve something that they can't do practically. I see where they're going with this whole digital thing. That's really neat.
Yeah, agreed. I remember just going, whoa. Geraldine is then attacked at a back door that hasn't been sealed, and Breaker comes to the rescue by putting a knife through one of the eyes of the demon, making it fall backwards. And then he drops some more of that red liquid on the door frame. Just as it seals the door, that demon comes running back. And as it crosses the threshold, it just turns into a big pile of goo and falls to the floor.
Guts, just demon guts
so
flying all over the room. Yes. And I'm like, yes, like this non-stop horror gore practical effects extravaganza is taking place, and this is what I paid my money for. I'm so excited.
And then the next scene is where we get to see what a classy guy Mr. Roach actually is.
Jesus.
He decides he's going to make a run for it because he doesn't see any of the demons outside. He asks Cordelia to come with him. And of course, Wally says, no, don't go. But she follows Roach outside anyway. And suddenly a demon pops up, and I laugh every time. He just pops up from around the corner. And he lunges at them, and Roach pushes Cordelia in front of him.
Yeah. This
every time
son of a
I'm
bitch.
like, what the fuck?
I love that the demons, just like Billy Zane's collector, the demons are obviously doing what you would expect demons to do, which is fucking with people and enjoying it and laughing about it. I love the fact that the demon is literally like, you can hear it, like when it pops up around the corner, like, yep, I'm fucking with you, stupid humans. But yeah, fucking Roach throwing poor Cordelia at it and then turning around and hightailing it out of there.
Such a prick move.
I love how she punches it in the face. And it looks at her like, really, queen? And she's like, I'm sorry. Poor Cordelia.
So Wally grabs a gun and comes to Cordelia's rescue by running out onto the porch and shooting the demon 3 times in the head. And the demon just cocks its head and laughs at him.
Yep.
And Breaker tells him, shoot him in the eyes. And that's where we're like, okay, confirmation. So of course he hits him with the next 2 shots right in the eyes. No problem.
Because Wally is an expert marksman, unbeknownst to us.
Right?
He actually is.
And then he gets knocked backwards, though, and knocked out because that green light that shoots out of the demon's eyes hits him. So they Breaker and Cordelia drag him back inside, and they shut the door. The collector appears at the front door and realizes that he can't come in. I forget what he says because I didn't write it down, but whatever little sassy thing he says to Breaker, and then Breaker just slams the door in his face. It's so funny.
Yeah, no, it's something along the lines of, oh, come on, let's just get this over with. You know how this is going to go. And he just slams the door and he's like, really?
The 2 of them together, man, playing off of each other.
Yeah, the 2 of them together. Absolutely. And then it really hit me this last time watching it. William Sadler. We've been raving about Billy Zane, but William Sadler, when you have seen this movie before and you go back and watch it, you can appreciate, especially at this moment, Breaker is realizing exactly what's happening. He wasn't 100% sure that this was the night, this was the place, these were the right people. Now he is fully aware of everything that's going to happen. He knows as a character that most of these people are going to die. He knows as a character that there will be one person left standing and he has to pass the key. And it also means that he'll die too. He knows all of that. And William Sadler, as the character, knows all of that and has to put it into everything he's doing. And you really get the sense that he is like haunted and tortured that this night is happening.
That was exactly what I was just going to say. If you watch his face, you can see how much wear and tear this has put on him. And he's exhausted of the fight and the years. You can see it.
And the weight of what this night is turning into. And you can get the sense completely from his performance that he is heartbroken, that these people, are in this position and he knows what's going to happen. And he is also accepting that it means he's dying tonight too. Like, you get all of that in his performance. William Sadler is so good.
Agreed. So Breaker finishes sealing the downstairs entries, and Irene asks if those were in fact demons. Roach chimes in, and of course, and asks who's going to protect them from the demons, and is the headless horseman over there going to do it? And he points to the sheriff's dead body, and he's like, you're going to do it. And he points to Breaker, and it's like, you know what, fucktard? You haven't been doing much.
All you did was literally throw a weaponless woman at one of the demons.
Right.
That's literally all you've done, homie.
Yeah. So clearly you're not protecting anybody, you dick. Breaker says they all need to stay together and make it through the night. He goes on to say that the only 2 things that will kill the demons is the blood in the key and taking out their eyeballs, which will free their tortured souls. And then we get a great scene where Roach says, all the demons want is Breaker and the key, and we should just give it to them and save ourselves. And Breaker says, well, I say they'll kill you anyway. Like he basically tells them all, tough shit. Everybody stay inside. Everybody stay together. You just need to deal with it. And he's got a gun, so nobody's going to argue with him. I like this scene because Roach tries to step up and take charge and Breaker shoots him down. And then you get to see later what a slime ball Roach is, even more by going behind his back. But Breaker's like, I don't know, too trusting. He feels like he doesn't need to keep an eye on Roach. And it's like, maybe you should have.
The problem, like I was saying, is that Breaker knows the path that all these people collectively are now on, and that it's his job to sort of sit back and try to guide the situation, but he also has to let people do whatever they're going to do, because it's literally fate. Fate's got to take its course, and if this guy's going to be a dick and get himself killed, Breaker has to let that happen, because they have to get down to who is the next knight, who is the person I have to pass this to. He has to let that play out. So he kind of has to let Roach be an asshole and see what happens, because it's fate. He can't intervene too much. He's trying to protect them all. That's what I'm saying. With his performance, you get the feeling like the way the world is on his shoulders. He's trying to protect all these people, but he also has to sort of let them die if they're going to.
Let fate work it out.
Exactly. It's so sad. I feel so sorry for him.
Well, he takes off and goes upstairs and seals all of the windows upstairs. And as he's sealing Geraldine's room, there's a light shining through a stained glass window in the shape of a cross that triggers a kind of a flashback for him, or a memory. We see 3 men on crosses, which I guess we assume it's Jesus and the other 2 in the middle there. He's getting sacrificed on the cross. We see a man getting ready to offer that key over to a demon in a hood, and he gets zapped above by lightning. I guess it zaps the key in his hand. And that's the end of the flashback. It's cool, but it's quick. We cut back to Breaker, and Geraldine pops in the room and startles him. And he apologizes to her for not letting her get her cat, who's outside, and for holding her at knife point. And he says he wasn't going to hurt her. And it's so cool that she kind of says, I had a feeling you weren't going to. And that's kind of a callback to that little moment they had together. Like, she's clearly a really good judge of character and kind of is vibing and in sync with him. She asks him who he really is, to which he responds, he's just an old man running out of time. Back downstairs in Misfit Haven, we see that Roach is staying true to form by saying something shitty to Cordelia and Wally. She calls him a bastard for leaving her out there, but I was just pissed off at Roach basically in this scene for being so shitty to Cordelia and Wally, when he's the one, he says shit like, you shouldn't have followed me out there, and who made you do it? And he basically turns the whole situation around on her when he tried to get her killed.
Oh, gaslighting.
Yes.
This guy's an asshole, and he's gaslighting. First, he's attempting to manipulate Wally and pretending like he gives a shit about him for a minute. And then when Cordelia comes over to essentially do Wally a favor and save him from Roach, and she interjects and she said, well, at least I know who my friends are. And he's like, well, whores don't have friends. Excuse me? Like, who the hell do you think you are, sir? And I love that in a moment. She's like, hey, you know what? Assholes don't have friends. To him, like, throw it right back at him.
Yes.
Go, girl. He's really thinks that he's going to convince Wally that they're friends and they ought to concoct a plan to, get the key away from Breaker and give it to the demons. Really? He's such a jerk. Thank you so much. I love you, Thomas Hayden Church, for making me hate the character like I'm supposed to. He's such a good actor, and he's so good at being a dick.
So Irene and Geraldine are in the kitchen when the cat, Cleo, suddenly appears. Breaker tells her animals can be possessed too. So he chases her and she lets go of the cat and it runs downstairs. So back in the basement, because they chased the cat downstairs, Breaker sees the cat is not possessed and that it actually got in through a hole in the wall, which leads to underground tunnels.
Cleo the kitty. She's such a good girl. She's Geraldine's familiar. Thank you. And she brings to their attention this opening that no one is aware of. What a good kitty. They wouldn't have known if they didn't follow her down to the basement. She's doing such a good job.
Well, I'm fine with the underground tunnel system as long as it's not full of methane and giant spiders.
Right? these Arizona, New Mexico desert small towns and their old mines running underneath. I believe this is happening in the same world. Where is David Arquette when you need him? He could have shown up and joined the party here and helped them figure it out.
So Cordelia is sitting up in her room crying because she and Roach had a confrontation and he was shitty with her, threatens her life, slaps her face. So she's in her room crying and she hears in her head the voice of the collector saying that she's beautiful and it's a shame nobody understands her the way he does. So she goes over to the window and she sees the collector standing outside basking in this beautiful glow, looking up at her. I love this so much. His mouth isn't moving, but she hears him say that he knows she wants real love and he can be the one to give it to her. All she has to do is let him in. And we get really cool special effects here with the motion of his hand reaching up, and then it cuts to her face. And you see the tears being wiped off her cheek and her lips move like he's running his hand on her mouth.
Yep, it's super subtle stuff, but I love how effective it is. Come on. First of all, thank you, Roach, for putting Cordelia in this position of being in this vulnerable state where he's like, yep, here we go. Somebody's super vulnerable. Time to attack. The damn collector is telling this poor woman everything he knows she needs to hear. That's so exactly how a real demon would operate if demons were real. Like they would figure out your weak spot and charm their way in. For sure. That's totally what they would do. And who better to do it than Billy Zane? Are you kidding me right now?
I would buy it.
Me in 1995 being a stupid teenage girl, I would have let his ass in a heartbeat. I would have been like, come on up. The window's open, baby. Get in here. Oh, poor girl. She falls for it.
Yep. We find that out because in the next scene, Wally goes up to Cordelia's room and professes his love for her, and they kiss, and then she turns into a demon. We cut to the basement. We learn that the series of tunnels that run underneath is actually old mining tunnels, and Uncle Willie supposedly knows his way to guide everybody through them. A couple of them say we should go ahead and go and escape through the mines. Breaker says, no way, safer to stay in the house. And as soon as they are having this discussion, they hear Wally screaming from upstairs. She attacks and kills Wally. Demon Cordelia does. She then attacks Breaker, who busts in, and before he can shoot her, she knocks the key out of his hand, which goes flying down the hall to the top of the stairs. And before anyone can pick the key up, a few drops of blood spill out of it, and we see it seal the top of the stairway there. Irene grabs the key, tries to touch Demon Cordelia with it, but it's able to grab Irene's arm and breaks it off and pulls it right off her body. I love it. And then the demon takes the arm because it's still holding the key and it's running for the window to get away.
Oh my God. Yes. So watching this last night with my husband, who didn't remember it like I do. First of all, Demon Cordelia, can we talk about that for a minute? The way her head gets larger and her jaw just gets huge and then her neck extends. Oh my God. Again, we're in practical effects heaven. That is so freaking scary and gross and nasty.
Yep.
And then that moment with Irene's arm, when you forget that that's about to happen or you've never seen it before, holy crap. You feel it. Oh my God. Like I looked over at my husband and he's sitting there holding his arms together crossed like, no, oh my God. Oh, that's so awful. And yeah, props to CCH Pounder.
She sells the shit out of it.
Who knew woman is a scream queen? Because she is,
right?
Man. Boy, does she let you feel the pain of that moment. Oh, it's hard to watch, but it's so fun to look at.
Yep. And Breaker grabs the shotgun that Irene had been holding and shoots the demon Cordelia as it's running for the window through the back of the head, knocking the eyeballs out onto the floor. And then he shoots the eyeballs. It's so good. And then back downstairs, we see Geraldine and the deputy trying to patch up Irene's arm. And she's drinking her hard liquor and just, again, selling the shit out of having her arm ripped off. They realize they need to get her to the hospital, though, because she'll bleed out. And they decide to go to the mines to escape. Roach confronts Breaker about giving the key to the demons. And Breaker basically says, give it your best shot because I'll kill you if you try to take it from me. And he puts a gun right in Roach's face. So Roach backs down and says, fine, but we're going to go without you then. And they all take off to go downstairs. Roach takes a sledgehammer to the wall downstairs to break through. And Breaker has another flashback. It's a flashback of Jesus being nailed to the cross, or who we assume is Jesus. And there's a man running with the key and he runs under the cross. And just as a demon reaches out to grab the key, blood drips on his hand and burns the demon. So dude realizes he should fill the key with this blood because it seems to be doing the trick. So he does. And that's the end of that flashback. So we got a little more to the story there. Roach busts a hole in the wall and they all go into the tunnels. Breaker seals the opening of the tunnel with some blood before he goes in. I like that touch.
And this is another one of those moments where if you've seen it before, it really hits you. Poor Breaker, because he has to just let this play out. He knows Irene's likely going to die no matter what we try to do, but he has to let these people try to get her through the mines, and he knows how that's going to go. He has a feeling this is not going to go well. We shouldn't be leaving, but he has to go with them anyway and continue trying to protect them, even though he doesn't like what they're doing and he knows you just get the feeling from William Sadler's performance. Like, he is so torn and tired and heartbroken.
He's been through it.
Yeah, this poor guy, he has to just let this play out, even though he knows this is not the right thing to do.
Yep. And I got to say at this point too, Irene's a fucking champ.
Oh, yeah. Well, I
she's
mean, the
hanging
vodka's
in there.
kicking in. It's like, oh, same girl. Yep. That's where I'd be too.
They're making their way through the tunnels, led by Uncle Willie, who says he knows his way. And Geraldine falls behind and runs into little Danny, the boy that we saw in the first diner scene when Breaker was trying to get into a car there. Danny's parents pop out. They're demons. Everyone screams and runs back to the basement. Breaker says, don't worry, they can't cross the seal. I sealed it. Well, leave it to Roach to decide he's going to shoot Danny's dad, who I guess was his boss at the diner, breaking the seal. And honestly, it's a move that I expect at this point from Roach.
Right.
A dickhead move, not thought through whatsoever.
Nope. Selfish asshole. There's no reason the demons can't cross over. He just has to stick it to his former boss.
Yeah.
Such a prick. And in doing so, he breaks the damn seal.
Yep. And all the demons start coming through. So everyone runs back upstairs and are saved by the fact that the demons can't cross that accidental spill that sealed the top of the stairs, because they get all the way up the stairs and then demons can't come up.
Mm-hmm.
My question for this is, did the blood just seal the little opening right there where you step off the stairs, or did it seal and run the whole length of the floor? Do you know what I mean? Because there's a railing that goes around the top.
The entire thing.
Okay.
That entire opening. Yeah.
Good, because I was going to call bullshit. Like, why not just circumvent that opening? Like, it's all open.
The whole open railing from end to end is sealed like it's a doorway or a window.
Got it. That makes more sense. So everyone sits down there and they take a breather. And Uncle Willie says, Breaker has an I told you so coming to him. And Breaker says, well, at least we're all in one piece. And then he looks over at Irene. Sorry about that, Irene.
Yep.
Not all in one piece.
Close enough.
So Breaker goes over to little Danny and asks him what he was doing in the mines. And I don't understand why he touches Danny with the key here, because he crossed over the barrier up the stairs like everybody else.
Breaker's not thinking about that.
Plot hole?
He's just not thinking about it. He's just going on, his whatever 80 years of experience that he has, and he's just a new person in the mix. Got to check. He's just not even, this guy's exhausted. Come on. He's not thinking about it. But I love that right before he does it, this is another one of these moments with Queen Jada where she's like, oh, come on, you don't need to do that. The same way she did with the cat. On the one hand, you're like, oh, she's just, she doesn't get what Breaker's doing. Or does she have some sort of special intuitive ability where she knows my cat's fine, you don't need to do it, and then Danny's fine, you don't need to do it? Like, boy, is she the perfect person. She's meant to do this. Yeah. Because she has this little, and she intuitively knows about Breaker too.
So Breaker sits back and he dozes off and has another flashback that we get to see. This time it's one of him and another man in a foxhole during, I'm guessing, World War II. World War One.
He says this is like 1917 maybe, and it's in France.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So the man in the hole with him is dying, and he uses his blood to refill the key, and then he hands it off to Breaker, who says he doesn't understand what's happening, but he grabs the key and it lights up and he starts yelling, and he suddenly gets filled with all the flashbacks and the knowledge and everything that comes with being handed the key. And then we see the stars have all been tattooed onto the palm of his hand, and they rearrange into an odd formation. And the dying man tells him he's now the chosen one. Breaker wakes up and Roach starts to give him some more shit. Breaker tells him to relax. All they have to do is get through the night. I feel like he's a broken record at this point, telling Roach, relax. I feel like if everybody had just gone upstairs in the first place and stayed together, like everything would be copacetic.
Again,
But of course, it didn't go that way.
yeah, that's Breaker's plight. He knows damn well the best thing to do would have been to just go up there and sit tight all night. However, that wouldn't bring them to the conclusion they have to get to, which is these poor people have to die and there has to be one left standing.
And it wouldn't have been nearly as much fun either.
Heartbreaking for him to have to watch this play out.
Irene chimes in and says they're entitled to know what's going on. So Breaker proceeds to tell them, basically, they should have been safe because there was only 5 of them and they need 7. But then the sheriff and the deputy showed up. They kind of laugh at him like, whatever, dude. And he finally explains to them, he's not making this shit up. He gets really upset, which I don't blame him. And he shows them the tattoo on his hand and says he didn't ask for any of this. He then goes into this little story, which I love. He proceeds to tell them that before God created earth, there was a darkness filled with demons. They had 7 keys. Possessing all 7 of them, the demons could focus the power of the cosmos. So you don't want them to have them. God came onto the scene and said, let there be light. He scattered the demons. He scattered the keys. Fast forward to today. Demons are back. They've got 6 of the 7 keys and they've tracked the 7th one to earth. He explains it was originally filled with the blood of Christ and it gets topped off as it's handed from person to person. And it was handed off to him in France in 1917. So then I laugh at this too, because it's this tense, dramatic moment where we're learning what's really happening. And Deputy Bob, you can see on his face, he's struggling with the math.
He's trying to do that math. Wait, 1917, that makes you, oh, Bob, slow down. You're gonna have to take off your shoes to keep counting.
I was like, Bob's my spirit animal. He was struggling with the math.
So fucking funny. But yeah, this is when you realize like that moment you saw when Breaker took the key, you stop aging when that happens.
Yeah.
And then you have no idea. Is it going to be 8 months, 80 years? You have no idea. Oh my God, because the person handing it to you didn't explain that part, did they? You just stop aging and you have no idea how long this is going to go on until those stars start to move. You realize what Breaker's been through. Like, oh my God, how nerve-wracking every minute of every day. Wondering, is today the day?
Today the day, yeah.
Woo.
Uncle Willie chimes in and says, well, what happens when you run out of blood? And Breaker says, well, the demons will bring back the darkness. And I swear to God, this scene, just watching Sadler monologue this, I feel like it's an Oscar moment from a different movie. Right? He's so amazing.
Yep. He's so great. And you really just, you get all of the emotional impact that everything has had on him and what he must have been through. That's a cool prequel. Like everything that Breaker's been through up till this night and the relief he feels, but also how awful what he has to let play out. It's this whole backstory. This is such a cool mythology that they're creating with the demons and the keys. And oh my God, it's just, oh, we could have gotten so many great sequels. This would have been an amazing story to continue.
So Roach apologizes to Breaker and calls him a hero, which clearly is just a distraction so he can reach into his bag and grab the key while everyone else gets suddenly distracted because Danny has now gone missing. Everyone splits up to look for him. Geraldine goes into her room and looks under the bed. When she pulls her head up, her room suddenly looks very different. Very big, very vast. Pictures of Paris, pictures of her with sunglasses, like enjoying traveling. Ethereal, I got the feeling, with all the billowy curtains. And then we hear the collector in voiceover basically telling her he can help her fulfill all her dreams if she'll just help him. And if she doesn't, she's going to wind up dead if she sticks with Breaker. He even shows her a horrific scene up on the wall, like a diorama look of Breaker getting eaten alive by the demons, his stomach's being ripped open. More fantastic.
Great.
Yeah.
So good. That is William Sadler. And they take great pains at showing you his moving face while you're seeing the demons rip him open. Like, yes,
it's
so
awesome.
Good. Yep. I have to say, like I said, you know, Queen Jada, Miss Geraldine, I do not have that strength. I would not resist the collector. Sorry, folks. He's just too damn good. What he's offering, I would take him up on it.
So you're saying the fate of the world should not wind up on your shoulders because you
absolutely
blow it.
Not. I'd blow it if Billy Zane's involved. Sorry. But yeah, I love that she's strong enough to kind of resist him, though, the way she kind of spits in his face, like, you know, screw you, buddy.
Yeah, he says, you know, you can have it unpleasant and make this a horrible thing, or you can just do what I need you to do. And I promise if you help me, I won't turn you into a demon and you won't look like shit. He says he'll make her that deal. She can stay young and pretty forever. And like you said, she just spits in his face.
Yep. I have to give props, one, to the people who wrote this, because you've got a Black woman as your lead character, other than, you know, the Collector and Breaker. We know that she'll be the final girl, and she'll be a lot more than that, actually. To have a young Black woman who has apparently a criminal history and has been in jail, who is also that smart and full of integrity and not taking his shit, and she's actually the next in line to inherit this awesome responsibility. How freaking ahead of their time were the people writing this movie?
Right?
Oh my God, I live for it. I realize now I'm obsessed with feminism now that I look back on myself and what movies I love. This movie is so unique for that reason.
And it holds up. Irene and Deputy Bob go up to the attic and they find Uncle Willie drinking. Shocker.
Mm-hmm.
And little Danny reading a Tales from the Crypt comic book.
Wink, wink.
She tells them to go find Breaker and tell him to get his ass up here to the attic. Cut to Breaker and Roach standing at the railing, looking down at the demons. And we get another it's a silly little nothing of a scene, but we get an amazing effect. They're standing there and Roach spits on one of the demons, just hawks a big old loogie, and they get mad and screech at him and they blow the wind up at him and it moves his hair and kind of visibly knocks his head back. I don't know. It's a nothing little 2 seconds, but it's so cool visually.
Well, I love that Breaker's standing there too. And he's like, they hate that. You can picture over the years, he's tried it, you know?
Yeah. How do you know they hate that?
he's had 80 freaking years of time to play around and experiment.
So we cut to Uncle Willie and Danny entering a room full of junk. Danny doesn't see what's happening to Uncle Willie, but Uncle Willie sees kind of like a tiki bar. He goes in, there's dozens of topless women with booze saying sexually suggestive things to him. He's clearly in his own little heaven. And the Collector is the bartender. And he gets Uncle Willie to drink a lot.
I love this scene because, once again, Billy Zane, you've seen him go the seduction route with Cordelia and he tried it with Geraldine. Now you're seeing how he has to change it up when his target is completely different. And the way that he turns into this, he sounds like a sleazy strip club bartender from Brooklyn or something. All of a sudden, what's coming out of his mouth and the sunglasses, the aviators and the ball cap and the cigar, he's completely different. He's a totally different person when he's trying to seduce Willie. And I love how he calls it the long, hard one. The drink. Here, have a long, hard one.
Yes.
Oh my God. This is insane what's happening.
He knows his audience.
Yes.
So we cut back to the attic where we see Irene finding all of the mail that Wally did in fact steal from the post office. Along with a trunk full of weapons, including a bunch of grenades strapped to a vest, with a letter addressed to Cordelia saying that he was planning on taking out the post office. To me, that was the one thing in this movie that didn't age well.
Well, that's because in hindsight, this was, a little bit of scary foreshadowing here. But now you do have the explanation. Why was Wally such a good shot? Well, now you know. He's been spending an awful lot of time doing target practice, hasn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. And this is where it's kind of sad, but good thing the guy's out of his misery.
True.
And he didn't get to do any real damage.
Breaker and Geraldine find Danny. Breaker gets attacked by Uncle Willie because he's now possessed by a demon. Geraldine freezes and then has a quick flashback of her own, of the Collector telling her, I'll give you everything you want. You can stay young forever. All you have to do is go along with the program. So she's having a moment of hesitation. And then we cut out of the scene back to the attic. The Collector, I love this. He just walks up the stairs through the hatch into the attic holding Irene's arm on a platter. And it's got garnish and everything on the platter.
Yep. I love that you're seeing yet again how he has to switch up his approach. He knows this woman will not put up with his I'm trying to seduce you shit. He needs to just get straight to the point with her. You want your fucking arm back? Here you go. I can reattach it. You're done. Walk away. What she does in response to his proposition.
Yeah,
I mean,
she lifts up her stump. I was like, what is she doing?
Yep.
He's like, oh, is that a yes?
And she says, no, I'm giving you the finger. Oh my God. So let me just point out once again, the two Black women are the only people in this movie who resist the collector's advances. She's just as full of integrity and not going to be swayed as Geraldine. And I freaking love it, especially with what's about to happen with Irene's character.
Agreed.
I love that she just tells him, you know what, piss off.
We cut back now to possessed Uncle Willie still attacking Breaker. Geraldine is begging him to stop because she can't bring herself to stab Uncle Willie. Breaker manages to grab a sword and slices the head right off. And then the body with no head keeps attacking him. I love this.
I love how they realize because the head can see.
Yeah. It's so funny. So he
Freaking
tells
hilarious.
Danny, get the eyes. So Danny picks up the head and slams it right down, right onto a pair of antlers sitting on the table, right through the eyes. Green light, body falls to the ground. So then we cut to Roach with his key at the stairs, and the collector appears. Roach says he's looking to cut a deal, and he wants to make sure the collector's not going to kill him if he gives him the key. And of course, the collector says, I give you my word.
Mm-hmm.
Then the collector asks if Mr. Roach minds if he goes ahead and kills the others, to which Roach says, if it makes you feel good, do it. And then the collector says it back to him.
You have to wonder, is that scripted? Was he supposed to feed the line back to him? Or is this just brilliance? I don't know. Either way,
Like an improv
works.
moment.
The way that Billy Zane's, if it makes you feel good, do it. The way he's mocking Roach, and Roach is not picking up on that at all. Nope. He just thinks he's a freaking genius working his way out of this situation, doesn't he?
Yep. And then the collector says, well, this is all fine, but I need you to wipe up that blood seal at the top of the stairs. And again, all the little things in this movie, he just opens his mouth and out pops a kitchen sponge, like boop, right out of his mouth.
Yep. Boop.
Practical effect. He had
Go
a
ahead and
sponge in
clean
his
that
mouth.
up.
Yeah.
Yep. Just go ahead and wipe that up there.
Wipe
You can
that
just
up.
clean that up. Yeah.
So, okay. I wouldn't be doing my job here if I didn't point this out. And this is where this is the throwback to putting the key in the case. He opens up the case for Roach to put the key in, but he doesn't ask him to dump out the blood first, like he did to Uncle Willie in the first scene. And I was like, oh, they screwed that up with the script.
Well, no, they didn't screw it up. I'm telling you right now. The thing is, when he asked Uncle Willie, nobody understood what the thing was, what was in it, what it does. Nobody knew who he was. Now he knows there is a big chance that Roach could change his mind if I scare him too much or remind him what's really going on. If he tells Roach to dump it out, Roach might have a change of heart. He might think for a second and go, well,
though, that the blood can't be in it for the demon to take possession of it because he wanted Uncle Willie to dump it out in the first scene.
It's just that they have a big problem with trying to open it themselves because of what touching it does to them. So that's just extra legwork that they don't want to have to do. So if you can get somebody who doesn't know any better to dump it out, great. If not, just give me the fucking key. At this point, he's not going to waste his time asking Roach to empty it because Roach might change his mind.
Well, Roach gives him the key and then he runs downstairs and he looks up at the collector and he says, you know, this whole hell on earth business? Big fucking deal. I got hemorrhoids.
Yep.
So good.
This guy's such a piece of work.
And again, and this movie, highly quotable.
Yep.
He says to the collector, via con Dios, and the collector says back.
And a via con diablos to you too. Yep. In that mocking redneck way that, oh
Yeah.
man, Billy Zane, the collector, he's just having the time of his life, relishing this moment because he knows exactly what he's about to do, this idiot. And he
Yeah.
finally got what he wanted, and now he gets to have some real fun by taking this moron out.
Yeah, he tells him, oh, just one more thing, Mr. Roach. I lied. And of course, all the demons jump on Roach and kill him, which is glorious. Blood spurts up.
And then the way that the collector just starts humming and singing and dancing his way up those stairs, he's so goddamn happy with himself. And then when he's looking around for everybody, he's walking up and down the
Hello.
hallway. Hello. Yep. Oh my God. Like,
And I love also the practical effects demons coming up the stairs and walking right with him.
that's what
Love
I'm
it.
saying. How creative the way they look, the body, like that's a full body suit that got hand sculpted. It's amazing. The feet, the way they're walking. Oh, I
Yeah.
love these demons.
The hoof feet, it's reminiscent of Pumpkinhead and a horror
Mhm.
movie classic film that I love called The Unnameable. Anything with animal creatures that have big hoof feet and they have to walk, it's so spooky to me. Eerie. It just creeps me out.
Mhm.
The collector, like you said, is hanging around upstairs looking for everybody. Hello. Breaker shoots him right in the eye with an arrow, sending him over the railing. Breaker, Geraldine, and Danny go up to the attic while Deputy Bob holds off the demons. And he is joined by Irene, who now has the grenades strapped to her chest. As the demons close in, Irene pulls the pin and blows up herself, Deputy Bob sacrificing himself, and all the demons that were around them.
I love that Deputy Bob had that redeeming moment where he told Breaker, get everybody upstairs. Oh yes, this is he's doing his job to the very end as a cop. I love it. And then I love how Irene is like, hey, you know what? I'm toast anyway. I'm just gonna do this. And Bob, God love him, he could have gone up to the attic. He didn't. He chooses to stay there with Irene. I love
Holding
that little
her
moment.
hand. Yeah.
I love that he's not going to let her do that alone. And props to Queen Jada for grabbing Cleo the cat before she headed up into the attic. Gotta save Miss Kitty.
So up in the attic, Danny starts to reread that comic book again. And one of the characters' eyes on the page light up green. Cut to Breaker sitting over by Geraldine, telling her she needs to take the key because out of the 7, she's the only one left. So she's clearly the chosen one. He then seals the window that they're sitting next to. It's the last of the blood. And then suddenly he's attacked by Danny, who has now turned into a demon. It's a really cool fight scene. Again, practical effect, Demon Danny and Breaker. And I like that we see it also depicted in the pages of the comic as it's happening.
Super cool. The way that the shots of their faces and what's happening is whoever drew that and created that comic like that. Good job. It looks so cool. I love it.
And then Demon Danny finally punches Breaker's chest open, shoves his hand in, then he shoves his demon tongue into the wound, and it's like near his heart, so we know Breaker's a goner. He drops the key to distract Danny. He looks over Demon Danny to grab the key, and it's weird because he makes a sound like a jaguar.
Mhm.
I was like, what? I guess that's the sound demons make. I don't know.
The demons have sort of been growling, grunting, meowing, hissing in the background the whole night. They make some really weird noises.
So Geraldine sees her opportunity. She jumps up and grabs some boards in the ceiling and she kicks Demon Danny right out that sealed window.
Yeah.
And his body explodes. So as Breaker sits there dying, he fills the key with his blood. And Geraldine says she's not the right kind of person for this shit. And Breaker points out to her, the collector tried to seduce you and it didn't work. So you are, in fact, exactly the right kind of person for this shit. He puts the key in her hand and we get the same kind of scene as earlier where it starts to shake and light up and we see her getting handed all of the memories and everything that goes with the knowledge of having the key. Right before he dies, he tells her it could be a lifetime, it could be several, but once all of the stars align on your hand, you'll know what to do and you'll have to fight just like he did tonight. And then he dies. Wah wah.
I remember seeing this movie for the first time in the theater, and I still remember how I felt in this moment. One, yeah, oh, poor Breaker. Like William Sadler, I love him so much. He's so great, and it's sad to see him die. I remember being astounded. Not only did we get a black final girl. She is being handed the torch and is going to become some badass hero of this mythology now. What the hell? What? I did not see this coming. I was like jaw on the ground in this moment that I'm watching this happen in a movie. I couldn't believe it.
I had the same feeling. I didn't see it in theaters, but when I did see it, I felt the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So now that Breaker's dead, apparently everything he has sealed now is erased, which I thought was a weird choice, but they went with it. So the collector is able to rise up through the hatch. And again, directing mixed with the effects, mixed with the lighting, he comes up in one fluid motion with this green light. And it's such a great shot.
Mm-hmm.
So he sees Breaker is dead and he starts talking to Geraldine, who's hiding. She finally steps out and we see that she's in a little tank top and her underwear and some socks, but she's completely covered in blood from head to toe. She grabs a hold of the collector and for a moment doesn't let go. And his hand, they shake and there's like a little bit of smoke. And I'm guessing it's burning him because it's the blood from Breaker.
I can't get over how fucking smart she is. I would not have thought to do this. She tricked him.
No.
He thinks she's injured and covered in blood. He has no idea. She was so smart. She doused herself in Breaker's blood so that he cannot fucking touch her. I would not think of that. That's so smart.
Yeah.
So smart.
He totally yelps. And I love that he just goes, bitch. And then he dives headfirst out that hatch.
Yep. Yep.
He's like so shocked.
Boy, does he have himself a new adversary.
Well, she goes downstairs and she is ambushed by him. He jumps out from behind her, wrapping her in a shower curtain and dropping her into the bathtub right on top of the dead sheriff, which always makes me wince. Oh,
that probably doesn't smell great.
No. And he starts to hose her off. And I love that he says, it's curtains for you, baby. Because he wraps her in the curtain.
Pun, 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 pun. Yep.
I mean, that's right up there with
next to godliness.
That's right up there with Later's, baby.
Oh, God. I have to say, of everything that is happening in this movie, this is the one moment where I go, come on. Somebody dropped the ball because she was soaked in blood. In a white tank top, white undies, white socks, soaked in blood. He rinses her off and she comes out not only with white tighty whities, again, the blood rinsed out magically, but they're also dry.
Agreed.
That shit would still be stained red. That's the only thing in this movie that strikes me as unrealistic. And I'm like, this takes me out of the movie.
In a demon movie.
That shit would still be bright red.
So while he's hosing her off in the tub, he knocks the key out of her hand and spills some of the blood into the tub, but she quickly grabs it up and stabs him right through the sunglasses. He's wearing sunglasses right in the eye. And as he backs up and freaks out for a minute and is distracted, she pours the rest of the blood into her mouth really quick. At first time viewing, I was like, what is she doing? Is she going to like drink it and be safe because it's in her body? Like, I thought she was drinking it and now it'll be in her bloodstream.
Yeah. And but either way, quick thinking. Again, I wouldn't have thought to do that. And I love how when she gouged his eye out, he's pissed. He's like, man, I really like these with the sunglasses.
Then he explains to her, well, I guess Breaker didn't have time to tell you everything. That eyeball stabbing shit only works on low-level demons. And I like that he follows that up with, I know who makes up all these rules. Because I was thinking that. So he has her wrapped in a shower curtain and he drags her downstairs. Thump, thump, thump down the stairs. He unwraps her and he takes the key away from her as she's lying on the floor, moaning in pain. She's favoring an arm. So it's like, oh no, she's injured, her wrist or something.
He either broke her hand or broke her wrist. You saw it happen. It was gross and it sounded horrible.
And like you pointed out, again, this is where I really noticed that she's just all tidy white again. That's pretty impressive. She's not even light pink. It's all white.
I know. I was like, come on, somebody fell down on the job.
So he picks her up and starts dancing with her. And there's this awesome, silly scene. And I love corny shit. So I was in heaven. Tells her he wants to take her to the other side, trying to sweet talk her, saying he's easy to live with. He's clean. He doesn't drink too much. And I know my parents are going to love you.
I love that he's just making this last ditch effort. One more time, gotta try it.
It's so good.
Yeah, his previous seduction didn't work, so what's he gonna do? He's gonna try to convince her that he has feelings for her and he would like to try having a serious relationship, maybe even live together. What?
Well, he gets frustrated because she's not answering him. We know why. It's because she has a mouthful of blood. And then next we get some really good comedy, I thought, again, from him when he says he's going to say something to her that he's never said to anybody. And then when he tries to say it several times, he tries to say he loves her, but he can't bring himself to say the L word. It's so good. He's like, ooh, I love you.
Yep. Do you think you could find it in your heart to me? That is so funny. And he comes across as so sincere. You could forget very easily who he really is and what he's really up to, because
He's so charming.
He's so funny and charming and likable doing this, but then this moment that's about to happen.
Yes, she's not answering him, obviously. Again, mouthful of blood. So he gets irritated and says, fine, I didn't think you would. And she spits the blood right onto his face because he's holding her so close. I wouldn't have thought to do this. Again, like you keep saying, she's just coming up with the smart moves.
There was a moment, though, before she spits the blood on him, when she's sitting down on the ground and he's right before he's about to try to tell her how much he loves her.
Mm-hmm.
I have no other words for it other than he accidentally unleashes his giant fire dick.
Oh, the
on
crotch
her.
lightning.
Okay, because that happens before she spits the blood on him.
Crotch lightning. Yes, I forgot
This
about that.
moment where he's like, "Woo, hold on, wait a minute, down boy." Oh my God, what in the world? I guess this is what happens when a demon's sexual interest gets piqued. They get fire dick. Fire lightning dick that just shoots out across the room, and she's sitting there closing her eyes like, oh, like it doesn't exactly hurt her, but he's like, whoo, down boy. That makes me laugh every freaking time I see this movie.
Yep.
And
agreed.
then he tries to tell her he loves her, and then that still
That's
doesn't work.
right.
And he's got her up in his face, and that's when she wisely chooses to use that mouthful of blood.
Yeah, I would not have thought of that. Spits it right in his face. She doesn't know what's going to happen, but she's like, what the hell? Well, it works because he starts screaming. His face starts melting and he sells the shit out of it. I love it. And then she falls back and watches him. He bursts into flames. His body, his skin just falls completely away. And it reveals this giant skeletal winged demon that he really is. And then it explodes. Taking from what we see from outside now, a good portion of the building with it. But of course, Geraldine, who's in the same room with him, is perfectly fine. She's not blowed up.
She is one magical bitch. I buy it. I buy it. This woman is made of steel. I have a feeling she could walk out of any exploding building unscratched.
So the next morning, we see Geraldine refill the key with blood from Breaker's dead body. She takes her cat and boards a nearby bus. And before she lets the door close, she turns around and seals it with the blood when she gets on, which, side note, if you're going to seal everything everywhere you go for the next lifetime or two, you're going to run out of blood pretty damn fast. So slow down on using your blood there. But in this moment, clever. So we see the bus pull over to someone waiting on the side of the road, holding a dark case, just like the collector had. As the door opens, I love this. He gives it a once over, looks it up and down, and he pauses and he tells the driver, nah, it's okay. I'll wait for the next one. And then the bus drives off with Geraldine.
And they have that exchange of eye contact where he looks at her and she looks at him and she's like, this is going to be my gig now. Got it. Okay. You're who I have to look out for.
Right, right.
She didn't know for sure that would happen. She killed the collector. She doesn't know there's going to be another one coming along immediately.
And so fast. Yeah, immediately.
Oh boy, is this just the ultimate goddamn setup where you're like, ooh, what's going to happen there?
And then as I like this too, the bus pulls away and as that new collector starts walking, he's whistling the theme song from Tales from the Crypt. And then, of course, we get the next scene where we go back down now. The movie's over, but we go down to the crypt keeper in his crypt with two, clueless looking hot babes standing there fawning all over him. And he tells the camera, we will be happy to know that Geraldine lived happily ever after. She's traveling the world and having a fabulous time. What? It's like,
So
okay.
the first time watching this movie in the theater, I was so bummed when this happened. One, I completely forgot about the Crypt Keeper and that it was Tales from the Crypt. I was into this story, this mythology, the movie, hook, line, and sinker. So this takes you out of it, kind of ruins it. And then
Yeah.
what he says pisses me off because you had such a beautiful setup. Where is Geraldine going to go? This new collector is going to chase her. Who is he? What's he's about? And then the Crypt Keeper freaking ruins it.
I know.
She lived happily ever after. Bitch, no, she did not.
Well, then he gets in a limo and goes with his hot babes to the red carpet premiere of the Tales from the Crypt movie. At the end of the red carpet is a guillotine. He puts his head in and he jokes and says that he asked for final cut and he guesses he got it. And then they cut his head off. It rolls into the basket and he says, now that's entertainment. And of course, he gives us his iconic Crypt Keeper laugh as we fade out to the ending credits.
Yep.
Now, did you sit all the way through the credits?
The first time?
Ever? Have you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So at the very end, the Crypt Keeper pops back up and says, if we didn't get enough murder, mayhem, and excitement, stay tuned for his next motion picture hitting the theaters called Dead Easy.
Yep.
Then fade to black, really the end. Unless you have something to add, we can jump right to the questions here.
Yep. I'm assuming that the questions you have posed have to do with why I'm angry right now.
Okay, so question 1. Should they have skipped what they did next and gone right to a Geraldine sequel? Because we find out that Dead Easy is the working title for what turned out to be the sequel, which was not a direct sequel. It was the second Tales from the Crypt film called Bordello of Blood. It was in 96. They made it right away. Should they have not done that? That's question 1, and gone with this storyline and not tried to do a different story?
So, Dead Easy is a movie that actually never happened. Dead Easy was a zombie film to take place in New Orleans during Mardi Gras. That's not Bordello of Blood. It's actually
on
a movie.
IMDb, see, it says AKA Dead Easy.
Nope. Yeah, Dead Easy was a yet another weird idea they had that never came to fruition, along with From Dusk Till Dawn was part of this. The Frighteners was part of this. Like none of this has anything to do with the story we just saw. I think the problem here, what happened is they went right out the gate with something that never should have been part of Tales from the Crypt. This was a brilliant, ahead of its time idea and movie, and it being Tales from the Crypt is what ruined it. And it's why the sequel never happened. And it pisses me off still to this day. Justice for Geraldine, Queen Jada. She could have been a badass, like Ash, Evil Dead horror icon in the making with this story, and they fell flat on their faces by not doing anything with it. Shame on them.
I would have taken Geraldine sequel. I would have taken Breaker prequel. I would have taken anything in this mythology because it was so damn interesting, as well as being entertaining.
Yep.
I also forgot to mention, it was a trilogy. They did do 3. They did Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. They did Tales from the Crypt Bordello of Blood in 96. And then they waited until 2002 and did Tales from the Crypt The Ritual, which was direct to video with Jennifer Grey and Craig Sheffer. And I don't know if you've seen it, but it's awful. Should not exist.
Yep. Every time I watch this movie, I am still this pissed off when it ends, because I'm like, God damn, whoever decided this was the story to go with for Tales from the Crypt, that person completely screwed the pooch. And then they didn't have the wherewithal to realize what a great idea they had and give us the sequel that it needs. Whoever made that decision, oh God, shame on you.
Well, that segues right into question 2. Now with the resurgence, the new popularity of Creepshow on Shudder, horror being what it is, do you think this would be a good time to have a resurgence of Tales from the Crypt movies, if done correctly, like this one was? I think there's an audience for it now. I don't know what platform you could do it on, but what are your thoughts on that? And I'm not talking show, I'm talking movie.
I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is essentially Tales from the Crypt was a great platform for really cool ideas in horror story writing and horror filmmaking. You don't need that anymore. You can get this movie made as just a brilliant horror movie. Quentin Tarantino took From Dusk Till Dawn and went and did it anyway, his way. And look how iconic that is. And then The Frighteners, Peter Jackson went
I
and
love
had
that one.
like, if it's
Good
one
point.
thing in the context of Creepshow, you've got Greg Nicotero making it his baby. I love it. It's fun. I like it a lot. You don't need that. You could just push to get these cool independent horror movies made. Don't need the Tales from the Crypt, the Crypt Keeper. Don't need that,
Good point.
in my opinion.
I'm with you. I don't want to see a TV iteration of it. I am enjoying Creepshow. Like you said, it's giving me my need fulfilled there. And as far as motion pictures, if they had the right story, again, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, hit it out of the park. Didn't need the Tales from the Crypt attached to it. Really didn't. Okay, question number 3. In this small town of Wormwood, we only get to see a little bit of it, but you get the feeling it's a very small town, kind of similar to Prosperity, Arizona, very small.
Mm-hmm.
How many customers do you think ideally Cordelia actually had? And in a town that looked so small, to support her financially like that, I mean, what else do you think she did for money? What was her day job?
I really don't know. I'm
Take a minute.
guessing Homer from the diner hits that at least once a month. I'm guessing the sheriff maybe enjoyed her company every now and then, and that's why he was, he kind of lets it slide. Bob's clueless. Bob has no idea that this woman will literally sleep with him if he gives her money. So Bob's never been part of the equation.
Neither is Wally, because she offered to give him a freebie.
I know, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking Roach keeps her in business. He's what pays for her room.
You think she doesn't need a day job?
He's on the regular. All she needs is to pay for this room, and apparently food is included.
If you want the bowl of green slop.
Cooks up the slop. Yeah. Yeah. So she's got housing and food, and really that's all you can ask for.
In Wormwood,
she's got
anyway.
shelter. She's got food. Yep, that's that. So I think she just makes do with the few men around town. And
Fair
of course, Uncle Willie, he'd rather blow his money on booze. So he's never bothered with Cordelia.
I'm glad you said on booze. I didn't know where you were going with the rest of that sentence. Anybody out there, if you're interested in rewatching Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, or getting on your first time viewing, it's currently, at the time of this recording, available on Amazon Prime, Hulu, and Starz if you have a subscription. Of course, myself, I own it.
So. Oh yeah, I had to dust off my DVD, but it still works.
That's right. All right, everyone. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in and listening. I want to thank my co-host, Nikki Flicks, for joining me.
Yep, and I just got to say, via con diablos.
Until next time, bye.
Humans! You're not worth the flesh you're printed on! Fuck this cowboy shit! You fucking ho-dunk, po-dunk, well them there, motherfuckers! All you have to do is give me the goddamn key! Oh, pleasure doing business with you, Mr. Roach. Well, you know this hell on earth business? Big fucking deal. I got hemorrhoids. Via con Dios. And a via con diablos to you too, sir. Oh, Roach, there's just one more thing I forgot to mention. I lied.
Hey listeners, Movie Miss here. Listen, I know you have a lot of options when it comes to podcasts, so thank you for listening to the show. I know everybody says this, but for a fledgling little show like ours that's just hanging on, we just finished season 4, we're rolling into season 5, it would really help us if you could subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Good Pods. We're also on Pandora, Audible, Amazon Music. It would really help us grow the show and reach more people if you could subscribe and then rate and review, which is really the key part of it. Make sure to be part of our bad movie conversation by following us on social media. Interact with me on social media. I'm on Instagram at Movie Miss, which is movie_miss. The show is on Instagram at Let's Talk Turkeys. Also on Blue Sky at Let's Talk Turkeys and Facebook. We're on X. I'm honestly not sure how much longer I'm going to have the show on there, but currently the handle is at Gobble Podcast. Get it? Gobble, 'cause like a turkey. You can also chat with like-minded bad movie lovers in our Facebook discussion group. And like I mentioned, we're rolling into season 5. It is 2025. The show, it's been a wild ride, still going strong. So if you have a movie that you would like to hear covered on the show, let me know by emailing direct at Let's Talk Turkeys, all one word, at yahoo.com. Also, hit me up on socials if you want to be a guest on the show. Always looking for guests. I can assign you a movie, something we think is fun, or you can bring a movie that you think is a bad movie if it has a low Rotten Tomatoes score, or you just really don't like the movie but you like to talk about it. That's half the fun, I think. Again, this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it. Without you, the show wouldn't still be kicking around. So thank you so much for hanging in there with us.
I'll be back.
Get the fuck out of here! No, I cannot.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Why don't you get the fuck out of here? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.